and 3,600 comments with a 10% engagement rate per post. To put that in perspective, the NBA team with the highest social media engagement online, the Los Angeles Lakers, averages 159,000 likes and 822 comments with a 1% engagement rate. As seen, when Ball joined the Illawarra Hawks in Australia, their Twitter following grew drastically as soon as they signed the Ball brother. And going into the 2021 NBA draft, we all knew that any team that landed LaMelo Ball was going to see an increase in their social media following and social media impact. Along with that social media following also comes the likes of a new age of NBA fan. A new age of NBA fan that follows players and not the team. A new age of NBA fans that criticize coaches and not the team. A new era of NBA fans who don't necessarily understand the concept of the team and much rather would love to see their favorite player shine regardless of wins and losses. Today, we're going to break down LaMelo Ball. And unlike the unrealistic expectations of many fans, we're going to break down what LaMelo is great at on the court, what he struggles with on the court, and then also break down the business side of the game that is also impacting his playing time on the court as well. LaMelo Ball and the reality of his NBA situation is coming up next. Support for the show, FYF Sports, is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all of your below-the-waist grooming needs. Get 20% off and free shipping with coupon code FYFCREW at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code FYFCREW. Your balls will thank you. It's FYF Sports, man. It's Lamont. We back with another podcast video. Man, today we just have to break it down, you know, the way we always do when we go to the NBA film study. Again, LaMelo Ball, to me, you know, going into this draft, was the number one prospect in this NBA draft. But, you know, here at FYF Sports, we know what that means. It means forget your feelings. And the one thing that I understood, that this year of all years going into this NBA season was going to be unlike any other season that we've ever seen because of the circumstances created by the pandemic. The pandemic that affected last year's NBA season is now mulling and seeping its way into the 2020-21 NBA season, and that started with the draft. It started when we saw the NBA decide to start their season early in hopes of finishing, around that usual time in May, so things can get back to normal next fall. And we knew that players were going to have to sacrifice all right, to get that done. So before we get started with today's video, before we break this down, all right, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you haven't done so already. All right, we're grinding to 20K. Cannot wait till we get to that 20K threshold. I think we're at about 18.8 thousand subscribers right now. So I appreciate everybody that's liking the videos, sharing the videos, and engaging in all of the content that we have here on FYF Sports. I was looking at some of our analytics, in some of the first videos that we ever created on this channel last year, in June and July. I'm still seeing those videos get a lot of engagement. They're getting a lot of views still. So again, that means, you guys appreciate the content. You're not just watching the new content, but you're also going back. You're watching those playlists and you're watching the old content as well. So salute to you guys. Again, we're going to keep kicking out the content. I know yesterday we didn't do a live stream. Again, that's not going to be too common. All right. But we had to take some time away to get some videos recorded, work on some other things behind the scenes. And so this week, make sure you're tuning in with us every evening. We're going to be going live, hitting on the hottest sports topics out there. But today we got to talk about LaMelo Ball. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this LaMelo Ball situation is because I just don't think the undertones and the conversations about the reality of LaMelo Ball's situation are being spoken upon. All right. As I mentioned early on in this video, this NBA season is unlike any other, and it started with the timing of the NBA draft. The NBA draft was extremely delayed. That is affecting college teams. It affected eligibility for certain players having to make decisions where they're going to go into the draft or stay. It affected a lot of things. With regards to these players, a lot of these players sat out of basketball longer than normal. When you look at guys like Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, a lot of the college guys that were in the midst of a college season were looking forward to going through and gaining all that experience in the NCAA tournament. With the NCAA season being canceled, these guys literally had to stop playing basketball altogether for months, going into the NBA draft. And a lot of these guys had a lot of rust to shake off their game. After the draft, you got to think about this, you guys. After the draft, these guys literally had about 2 weeks to prepare and get ready for real NBA basketball. In a more typical season, these rookies would have been given far more time to adjust to the conditioning, speed, all right, and the learning curve associated with being in the NBA. The rookies this year were not afforded that opportunity. There was no summer league. Summer league is a great way to identify a player's strengths and weaknesses. You can work on a lot of the things that they struggle with. All right, you can have them on the court for an extended amount of time so you can really see their tendencies and habits, and you can learn that player in summer league. All right, we didn't have a summer league this year, so NBA developmental coaches and scouts didn't have that additional footage where they could really pick apart these players' games and get them ready for the NBA season. So it doesn't surprise me when I see that a lot of the rookies in this rookie class are struggling, or they have a lot of highs and then they have a lot of lows. It doesn't surprise me because the adjusting to the NBA learning curve is not easy. And to ask these rookies to do it on the fly, again, to see what some of these rookies are doing in such a short amount of time is amazing. But again, the NBA rookie wall is a real thing. And I think it's going to hit a lot of these players much sooner than they expect, especially when other teams begin to develop scouting reports on these players as well. So, again, with LaMelo Ball, when we talk about no summer league, a shortened training camp, at a shortened preseason, a lot of these guys already being out an extended amount of time away from the game of basketball have now been thrust into the NBA limelight. All right, and they have to play high-level NBA level competition without fully understanding the NBA game. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains. And it's not just the players that have to adjust to this. There are a lot of coaches. There are a lot of coaches who are excited about having, first, second, third, all these lottery picks. There are coaches excited about having these lottery picks that just can't get these guys on the court, primarily because they're just not ready. And, as I spoke about in the introduction, when we talk about a player like LaMelo Ball, he has such a strong social media following. He has such a strong fan base. Not a fan base for any particular team. Not a fan base of just pure basketball heads that love the game and appreciate the process, but just fans who follow the Ball family and LaMelo Ball as a person. And when these fans don't see what they were used to seeing, let's say when we saw LaMelo in Lithuania, or when we saw LaMelo in Australia, or when we saw LaMelo at Chino Hills, that up and down fast style of play where LaMelo played the entire game, was able to shoot and do whatever he wanted on the court. That was fun to watch. When he dropped, whatever it was in high school, when he dropped all of those points in that high school game, that was fun to watch. But for true basketball heads, it was some of the worst basketball ever seen. And at a high level, everyone knew it wouldn't work. All right. What we see, the product that we see in college, the product that we see overseas, the product that we see in the G League is nothing like, or is nothing comparable to what happens on the NBA floor. The NBA game is faster. All right. Decisions must be made faster. Players must know how to react faster at the NBA level. So I think, just based on some of the chatter that I hear, not just on YouTube, but in blogs, on Facebook, all of the chatter from fans about LaMelo Ball, all of this chatter saying that James Borrego needs to be fired. James Borrego is not giving LaMelo enough minutes. James Borrego is doing this wrong. Michael Jordan is doing this wrong. The franchise is not using LaMelo right. The franchise doesn't believe LaMelo Ball is a franchise player. When I hear these things, I cringe. And I cringe because these are the comments from fans. These is what fans, as many fans of the sport of basketball, they love to see instant results. All right. They love to see instant results because they're used to seeing the typical NBA season unfold. All right. A lot of fans don't appreciate nor care about the time, work, and dedication it takes to get these guys ready for an NBA season. And this year, all of that preparation was lost. All of the player development coaches that put in work behind the scenes with these players, all of the scouts that go over hours and hours and hours of footage with these players to prepare them for NBA season, that was non-existent this year. But because that happens behind the scenes, NBA fans don't see that. They don't see the ugly side of the game. They don't see all of the hours in the gym, and not just the hours putting up shots or doing workouts. I'm talking about the hours sitting in film rooms, the hours sitting with coaching staffs, the hours with player development coaches working on the boring stuff, working hours and hours and hours on pick and rolls and how to run it properly, hours and hours and hours on how to defend it properly, going over footage, video, and this. The fans do not see that side of the game. And because we don't see it, or fans don't see it, it's not appreciated. And I think, again, as I said before, LaMelo's following is unlike any following that we've seen in NBA history. He's come into the NBA because of his father, LeVar Ball, who's done a great job of marketing all three of his sons. And I've been a big time advocate of the Ball family from day one. All right, I love the way LeVar Ball carries himself. I love the way he's raised his sons. I love the way he's given all three of his sons opportunities to succeed on and off the court. And that's not even mentioning that two of his sons have been drafted in the NBA lottery. Top picks in the NBA draft. All right. He's succeeded in that aspect. But again, I have to be honest about where they are at now. Lonzo Ball is now in the NBA. All right, this is the highest level of basketball in the world. LaMelo Ball is now in the NBA, the highest level of basketball in the world. All right, and as a rookie, all right, and all rookies go through this, there are huge learning curves. And for some rookies, it kicks in early. For other rookies, it can take years. All right, we can give multiple examples. When we look at some rookies who just come right out the gate, the NBA game just clicks for them. The speed of the game, they are able to adjust to it immediately. But for other players, you got guys like Trae Young. It took him 6 to 8 months to adjust to the speed of the game. Trae Young, who struggled early on, even with Summer League, preseason, and all of these things, he struggled early in his NBA career, and it took him half a season to adjust and acclimate to the NBA game. But once he acclimated, he was able to smoothly make that transition. But even though he's made that transition, he still has humongous holes in his game that must be addressed. All right, especially on the defensive end of the court. All right. So when I look at the situation that LaMelo Ball is in, all right, we're going to be breaking down today, as we always do when we talk about these players. I'm going to go to the drawing board, but we're going to be breaking down some of the things that I see that's wrong with LaMelo Ball's game. I see one of the things that he's going to need to fix as he learns. We're going to also break down the business side of the game. All right, we have to break down the business side of the game because when we look at this roster as constructed, the Hornets, all right, one thing we have to understand with these NBA teams, it's not just players who are dealing with the shortened schedule of getting these rosters prepared and making trades. Front offices have dealt with the same problems. All right, the windows to sign free agents and make trades and have talks with other teams was shortened. They didn't have time to, they didn't have the preseason. They didn't have summer league. They didn't have training camp. They didn't have that additional time to really look at what these potential lineups could be with any new players that they look to have long-term on this roster. So there are a lot of things with this particular Charlotte Hornets team that they need to address before they can just throw all of their eggs into one basket and say, let's go out there and try to make a push into the playoffs and be a championship team. All right. And again, before we go to the drawing board, again, this video is going to be dedicated, and it may be hard to hear. It may be something that you're not willing to accept, but I'm just trying to break down the reality of his situation as honestly as possible. All right, because I think your guys, the fans of LaMelo Ball, I think your expectations from this team are not about the benefit of the team. From basically what I hear from fans are he needs to play more. He needs more plays ran for him. He needs more sets. That's what fans say. That's something that benefits him individually as an individual player, but it doesn't benefit the entire Charlotte Hornets organization or team. It doesn't make them a better team. If LaMelo Ball scores 30 a game, all right, they're still a flawed team. They're still a very bad team in the NBA, and they'll probably have the same record or worse. All right. And we can see that same situation in Washington when we talk about a great player like Bradley Beal, who's putting up historic numbers in Washington, but they're struggling to win games. They're struggling just to get to 500. And there are a lot of teams, even Luka Doncic in Dallas. They made the playoffs last year, but they're struggling right now. Trae Young in Atlanta, they started the season off good. When we look at last year, they're the worst team in the NBA. All right, before they put more help around Trae Young and really start to evolve and develop that roster. We see Sacramento struggling mightily this year with chemistry concerns with De'Aaron Fox. He's a great player, one great rookie. I don't care how good this rookie is. One great player cannot turn you into a championship contending team. And that's ultimately the goal for every team in the NBA. It's how can we be a championship contending team? You start by drafting LaMelo Ball, but you don't stop there. And the one thing that I appreciate that a lot of people don't give the Charlotte Hornets credit for is they didn't just stop with drafting LaMelo Ball. Basically, what I see them doing now is they're evaluating talent. They're setting themselves up for potential trades. And again, when we go to the drawing board, I'm going to break all of this down, hopefully in layman's terms, so that you guys can understand the developmental side of this, the business side of this, and what the Charlotte Hornets are looking to do going forward in the future, because this is not a game-to-game process. This is a long-term process for the Charlotte Hornets. But let's go ahead and get to the drawing board. All right, so we got our drawing board up here. And again, we're just going to be going over a series of plays that I feel kind of that accentuate the biggest issue in his game that ultimately makes him unplayable in some situations. All right. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to take you back to this first play right here. All right. And again, I'm not just going to show you the video, but I'm also going to show you the stats on this as well. We got the stats and we got the analytics. And with me, as a coach myself, and obviously not coaching on the NBA level, but this applies to all levels of basketball. The biggest problem, the number one problem that no one's really speaking about with LaMelo Ball is he turns the ball over at a high level, all right, at a high rate. And turnovers themselves aren't necessarily a problem, because you got guys like LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, these guys, even James Harden, guys that are great with the ball. Sometimes you can find these guys with 7 and 8 turnovers in a game. At the NBA level, turnovers are classified. You have live ball turnovers, you have dead ball turnovers. And unfortunately for LaMelo Ball, a large number of his turnovers are what we call live ball turnovers, which means turnovers that don't allow your defense to get set. It puts the other team in transition, giving them either quick layups or putting your team in foul trouble because you have to foul to stop the play. All right. And these are the worst turnovers that you can have as an NBA team. These are the absolute worst turnovers that you have. And especially for a Charlotte Hornet team that already struggles to score the ball. Even LaMelo Ball himself is struggling to score the ball, shooting a three-pointer at 33% and shooting 40% from the field. So a player that's shooting poorly from the field right now, turning the ball over at a high rate, leads the team in turnovers. But not only leading the team in turnovers, but he leads the team in what we call live ball turnovers. And I'm going to give you a quick example of a couple of them right here. Let's let the play develop. Now we got LaMelo on the pick and roll. All right. The first thing, and early on in this play, the first thing that I can stop it and break down is that, and this has been one of LaMelo's biggest flaws, and this is something he's going to have to adjust to, because he was able to get away with this on lower levels of basketball. But he has to maintain his dribble longer. He has to be able to read defenses longer, because I think he's looking to his first read a little bit too much. And NBA teams are always going to be able to take away your first read. You have to be able to hit your counters, or you have to be able to get into the heart of the defense. You have to be able to get into the paint and then make your decision first. Now he's a gifted passer, but now it's about adjusting to the speed, all right, and the IQ of the NBA game. And we're going to let this play develop right here. Again, this is a play right here that he can get away with. Maybe when he was with the Illawarra Hawks or in high school, or in the JBA. But at the NBA level, guys are a bit more disciplined, and they're not going to go for that. In this play right here, the Bulls were able to get a steal because LaMelo Ball picked up his dribble far too soon. And the number one thing that he did, all right, he created a live ball turnover. All right, and the Bulls were able to get out into transition and do what? score at the rim. All right. And as this play develops, actually turns into a 3, which makes it even worse. All right. We're going to run that play back really quick. And again, it's not just one play. I'm going to show you guys a series of plays, and then we're going to look at the stats and analytics. But again, we're going to run that back. Again, look how early LaMelo Ball picks up his dribble, y'all. This is something that I know James Borrego and that staff are saying, look, all right, you got to be smarter with the ball. All right. You can't look, guys. You cannot stare guys down and then pass the ball there, for one. You have to be able to make all your reads. He picks the ball up early. All right. Everybody on the court can see this pass coming. He picks his ball up. He should, a great NBA point guard, an experienced NBA point guard would have maintained their dribble at least until they touch the black. You got to get into the paint because you need to shrink the defense. The closer you get to the rim, right? The one thing that you have to do in NBA is you have to guard the basketball as a team. He did not do anything to lure the defense towards him, and he created what we call a live ball turnover. All right, and as we already saw, even though the layup was missed, all right, the Charlotte Hornets were extremely lazy in getting back on defense, and the Bulls were able to get a corner 3. All right, and in a game that was a single digit deficit in the third quarter now balloons to a double-digit deficit. All right, and again, this is not picking on LaMelo Ball because I can run on for days. Talking about his highlights and how good he does. But I'm talking about things that really are a detriment to your team late game. All right, he does a lot of things early on in games that are great, but we're talking about the third quarter. These are valuable minutes right here, especially when your team's already down 10 points. Whether you're coming off the bench or whether you're starting, if you're in the game, you got to execute. No excuses. All right, as an NBA player. Here's a play right here. LaMelo Ball on the drive. He's on the move. All right, I love his attacking style. What has he done already? 1, he's picked his dribble up before he gets into the paint. That's the number one thing you cannot do. You have to be able to use your dribble and probe while in the paint. Look at the best guards in the NBA. Look at the smartest guards in the NBA. They know how to operate like this. You, as a point guard, you have to be able to maintain your dribble in traffic, all right, and you have to make better decisions and not always go to your first read. This pass right here. A lot of people have been complaining about Cody Zeller not catching these passes. But let's look where this pass is. 1. All right. As Cody Zeller's cutting to the basket, LaMelo Ball picks up his dribble early and then makes a bad pass, putting that pass behind Cody Zeller. So we see he didn't hit Cody Zeller on the numbers. All right. He threw the ball behind him. Extremely tough pass for Cody Zeller to catch in traffic. All right. Let's see how this play unfolds. It actually turns into a turnover for the Bulls. And now the Bulls are going the other way for what? Another fast break because of what we call a live ball turnover. And these are back-to-back mistakes. So it went from a single-digit game to not just a 10-point lead, but it also went to a 12-point lead. Back-to-back mistakes by LaMelo Ball because what? NBA level IQ at the point guard position is mandatory. The things that you got away with on lower levels of basketball are not going to work at the NBA level. So a game that was manageable in the third quarter, single digits, has now ballooned to 12 points. And with the three-pointer in the NBA, we know that this lead, a 12-point lead, is really tough to come back from, especially when you're allowing teams to get into their flow and score easy baskets. We're going to run that back one more time, all right, because a lot of people like to gloss over this like it's not a big deal. But this is something that coaches have to teach and preach. You have to value every single possession. And sometimes LaMelo Ball's carelessness shows that he does not value every possession. And this is why he has such a high turnover rate. Now, you'll have fans. Fans will say, let him play through his mistakes. All right. At the NBA level, the one thing I said before, LaMelo Ball has not had the benefit of having a lot of film study. He has not had the benefit of learning in individual workout sessions with coaches on what to do and how to be a better at least probe the defense better in the paint or maintain his dribble in traffic. All right. He hasn't learned how to do these things yet, so he's going to struggle. Ben Simmons said the best thing that happened for him in his career was having to sit out that 1 year, because when he sat on the sideline, he learned more than he ever would playing the game. That's essential for point guards. We watched a guard like Steve Nash sit on the bench for years before he got his opportunity. And when he got his opportunity to shine, when he got his chance to star in a role, he didn't just star in his role. He became a 2-time MVP. All right, but it took Steve Nash years to learn how to run the point guard position in the NBA. The point guard position in the NBA is the hardest position on the court. All right, let's pump the brakes on saying we need to fire coaches and we need to run more plays for Melo. He has a lot to learn. All right, he has a lot to learn, and for all of the great things that he does, he gives them right back with plays like this. We're going to go ahead and move on to another sequence of plays where we're going to break down some more things with regards to LaMelo Ball, and LaMelo Ball, again, creating more live ball turnovers for the other team in late game situations. All right, we got some more footage right here. We have another clip right here. Again. And LaMelo Ball will learn this eventually. But again, I want y'all fans out there, y'all fans of LaMelo Ball, I really want to really show y'all some of the things that coaches will see. All right. Now, this is an earlier portion of that Bulls game. All right. Remember what I told y'all before. LaMelo Ball has a bad tendency of picking up his dribble early. And once you pick up your dribble, you have to commit immediately to either passing or shooting. NBA level defenders can easily take away what you do best when you constantly pick up your dribble early. All right. They can take away passing lanes. They can put you in situations where you have to make tougher than normal shots or passes. And this is another situation where LaMelo Ball creates another turnover because of his inability to maintain his dribble and really probe the defense, lure them in so he can make a better pass and play make. All right. Okay, right here. So he picked up his dribble early. As soon as he picked up his dribble, what did Lauri Markkanen do? All right, he tightened up on Cody Zeller to make that passing lane tougher, and he forced LaMelo Ball to do what again? Throw the ball behind the guy cutting to the basket. And again, LaMelo Ball, if he does a better job, like when we see Chris Paul or even guys like Zach LaVine, what they do is coming off that pick and roll, they will get into the paint, maintain their dribble, and probe the defense before making that pass. LaMelo Ball could have easily, if he had not picked up his dribble, probed into the lane and maybe put up a floater right at the rim if Markkanen did commit to him. All right, but LaMelo Ball has an extremely bad habit of picking up his dribble early. I don't know why he does this, but he's going to have to go watch film and get better at this immediately. But it's a tendency that he's had from high school to Spire Academy to Australia. This is a habit that he's had that he's been able to get away with because of the level of play in the competition. We're going to run that back again. Again, we got to break this down for you guys because, again, I'm breaking it down because I want you guys to see what coaches see. This is why the coach sometimes has to say he needs to get better. And this is one of the things that I know they're emphasizing to him. All right, early on, picks up his dribble. Where's he at? He's in the blue. So he picks up his dribble here. The defense knows he can only do one of two things. He can either pass or he can shoot. And the defense is going to sag off of him. He's shooting an extremely low percentage. He's shooting 33% from the three-point line, 40% from the field. Lightly contested shot, that's probably going to be a miss. All right, so we don't have to apply heavy pressure to the shot. You see that Lauri Markkanen did not immediately step up. All right, Lauri Markkanen went to play the passing lane. That's a smart defensive move. This is what makes them much easier to guard when LaMelo's in the game. All right, for all of the dynamic things that he can do in transition in the half court, he's going to struggle. All right, and he dead ball turnover at least. All right, out of bounds. All right, so we have another sequence here coming off a DHO and dribble handoff with Bismack Biyombo. And again, this is another situation where LaMelo Ball has to use sheer basketball IQ. All right. And the coach, James Borrego, is doing a great job of not handicapping LaMelo with plays or sets. This is the one thing that I appreciate. He is not restricting him to Princeton type offenses or 4 high sets in which they're so restricted that he has to pass the ball here to make this action work. No, they're putting him to either DHOs or they're putting him into pick and roll situations where he has the freedom to do what? Make decisions on his own. He just has to put himself in a better position to make better decisions. One of the things that he can do better, don't pick your dribble up. Don't leave the ground early. Stop leaving the ground to make a play, to pass or shoot. Let's make the defense make the first mistake and you react off that. But he has to be smarter. Here's another situation coming off the pick and roll with Biyombo. All right, now Lauri Markkanen has to make a decision. Is he going to play in between? All right. Now, the one thing that I like with Lauri Markkanen, and a lot of teams are going to do this, and guys like Jared Allen and Miles Turner are great in this. When they jump to block your shot, they also keep another arm extended into that passing lane. We can see Lauri Markkanen fainting toward this passing lane because he senses Biyombo is behind him. All right, and we got Kobe White chasing over, so this can't be a pull-up jumper, or otherwise it will be a contested pull-up jumper, which LaMelo shoots poorly. All right, but let's watch how this play evolves. All right, Lauri Markkanen reads it perfectly. Again, this is about adjusting to NBA size, NBA height, NBA speed, and Lauri Markkanen actually reads this perfectly. And this is another turnover. And what type of turnover is it? It's a live ball turnover that sends the play going the other way in the Bulls' favor. All right, another DHO. Another DHO, and what does LaMelo Ball do? He picks his dribble up early before the play even evolves. If he takes another dribble into this lane, it could be a pass into the corner for a corner 3 with PJ Washington. It could be a better dump off play for Bismack Biyombo. He could maybe draw contact at the rim and get an and 1 foul, or put some of these bigs in foul trouble even if he doesn't make the layup. All right, that's the value of a LaMelo Ball. It's not always just scoring. The value is passing to the corner, getting PJ Washington wide open 3 so he's more of an inside out threat, hitting Bismack Biyombo for those open easy buckets that kind of just destroy teams. All right, getting guys like Lauri Markkanen or even Zach LaVine, who likes to reach, in foul trouble. If you watch the video, these are things that you can pick up on. LaMelo Ball has not picked up on these things yet. The game is either about for LaMelo Ball right now, if I'm being honest, the game is about him just getting assists, all right, or scoring the ball. It's not about understanding the inner battles within the game, getting guys in foul trouble, setting other guys up in the right spot so we can create more versatile threats on the court. All right, I think he's dumbed it down so much that he's become easy to guard sometimes. And this is why you see him, it looks as if he's hitting that rookie wall, because the teams are adjusting to what he does best. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to really guard him on the perimeter. He's not going to kill you from the outside. And if you play passing lanes and you feint at him, you can take away what he does best. So we have another situation here where he makes the shot. But again, he makes the shot, but he picks his dribble up before he even touches the black. All right. As a point guard, you consistently need to probe and get into the paint to be great. So his fans of LaMelo Ball will say, wow, what a great floater. As a coach, I'm saying, you know what? What you're doing you're not going to be able to sustain that long term. It's not going to work. Let's play it again. Picks it up. So he shoots a free throw line floater. All right. He's probably only going to make that about 35 to 40% of the time, teams will live with that because he's not applying any pressure to the defense with this shot right here. And it's not something that that's repeatable. He's not going to be able to make that at a 75% clip. All right, so he makes that floater right there. All right, so we got LaMelo Ball in another DHO. Remember, Borrego does a great job of putting him in situations where he has the freedom to make his own choices. So for all of the people out there that say they doesn't run sets for LaMelo, that's a lie. LaMelo Ball has a 24% usage rate on this team. That's second to Gordon Hayward. He gets the second most usage with the basketball on this team. He has the ball in his hands a lot, right? He controls who scores and how they score the most, right? The coach is giving him all of the opportunity in the world, and he's not even playing as many minutes as a Devontae Graham. He's not even playing as many minutes as a Terry Rozier. He's not even playing as many minutes as these guys. He's getting far more usage than these guys, though. Again, we're going to run this play back so you guys can see it again. Another DHO. Again, what they're running right here, they're just running 4 out, and they're just putting them in DHOs, you guys. They're just playing off principle. They don't have to run sets. And this style of basketball suits LaMelo much better if he can make better decisions. And those decisions are going to be based on him not picking up his dribble so soon and committing to bad passes and or shots. He does this far too much. All right, it's not something that's sustainable, nor, if you put it into context, nor will it work in a playoff setting where you have to play a team and you have to beat them 4 times out of 7. It's not sustainable. Stop being fans, study the game, all right, and understand that this is a process and there is a really big learning curve that LaMelo Ball needs to adjust to get ready for the NBA. All right, as we see right here, picks his dribble up. All right, he lobs up a really bad pass. In lower levels of play, maybe he can get away with this. In lower levels of play, when you don't have guys just as good as you on the bench, maybe you don't have that repercussion of getting yanked out the game and you got to sit on the sideline for making a pass like this. Again, going into the end of the second quarter, the Hornets are down 5. One thing a coach is going to always tell a point guard is time and score. 15 seconds on the shot clock. What did LaMelo do? Didn't use any shot clock, didn't run any motion, didn't make the defense have to defend anything, and he throws a turnover selling into the stands. All right, and the last play I wanted to talk about, this was a play that everyone went raving about on social media. He almost dunked on the entire Bulls team. He almost did this. But what coaches saw was something completely different. Let's go ahead and break down this play right here. This is a great isolation move on Lauri Markkanen. You guys, if you watch my NBA film study videos, you guys know how I feel about bigs going above the 3-point line. If Lauri Markkanen watches his film, he should know that LaMelo Ball shoots the 3-pointer at 33%. He needs to sag back. LaMelo Ball is a poor 3-point shooter right now, or at least streaky. All right. And right now he's not making shots. This is a player you can sag off of. So Lauri Markkanen makes the mistake of going for the fake, and LaMelo Ball hits him with a blow-by move. He goes in strong. I like that. All right. But this was great defense by the Bulls. He went vertical. All right. LaMelo Ball misses the dunk. And in actuality, he created for himself another live ball turnover. So in a situation where you can go into the guy's body, you can bring the ball back and do a better job of showing the ref the foul or putting the defender in a more awkward situation. I mean, obviously I love the aggression. I love that. But again, as the point guard on this team, you have to be smarter. All right, trying to go in and tear the rim off and not get fouled, which turns into another live ball situation for the Bulls going in transition the other way, is not what the Hornets need. So for as great of a play this looked, for the thumbnail of this dunk, the thumbnail of him rising up, This thumbnail right here looks great. He's in traffic, looks like he's rising up. Unfortunately, it's worth 0 points, and it actually does more harm than good. All right, getting this guy in the air and maybe a simple dump down pass to Bismack Biyombo for an easy dunk may have been a better idea, but going for the highlight reel play, the highlight reel dunk right here, just left him with another turnover on his record. But again, fans will look at this and say, "Oh, what great aggression! What a great attempt at a dunk! It's only 2 points that you didn't get." Coaches don't see it that way. When you're looking at a team that's struggling to score the ball, essentially almost everybody on the team not named Gordon Hayward is struggling to score the ball. You have to value the possessions, y'all. All right. You cannot turn the ball at a high rate when Devontae Graham's struggling from the field, when Terry Rozier's struggling from the field, when all your shooters are struggling other than Gordon Hayward. And Gordon Hayward, again, you're working him so much that he's injured almost every other game. You got to be smarter. All right. So when I talk about LaMelo Ball, I can talk, again, I can make 20 videos talking about, oh, he's great here, great passer here. All right. But at the end of the day, we have to be honest about his progression. All right. He hasn't been given enough time to adjust to not just the speed of the NBA game and the conditioning of the NBA game, but he hasn't been able to adjust to the defensive IQ of the NBA game. And, these are all offensive highlights. All right. And I haven't even touched on some of the defensive flaws that he's had, where you'll have fans say, oh, he's getting a lot of steals. He's getting a lot of off-ball steals. When you get a lot of off-ball steals, it does not necessarily mean you're a great defender. Allen Iverson led the league in steals a few times. Steph Curry has led the league in steals. Doesn't mean we're talking about world beaters on the defensive end of the court. Defense is a little bit bigger than that. And then steals are an individual category. I would much rather see him be more efficient in a team setting. All right. But I can't really knock him defensively, because out of all the rookies so far, he's probably the most NBA ready defensively. And I think they all struggle to some degree defensively. So I do have to be honest about that aspect of his game. So I actually applied the defensive aspect and attributes of his game more than I do the offensive side of the ball, because offensively, I feel that he hurts the team, especially in late game situations, more than he helps them. All right. I just think that's something that fans either don't want to address, they're fearful to address it because it doesn't match that narrative of him just starting and getting all of these plays and so-called calls made for him by James Borrego. That doesn't fit that narrative, so I don't think it's spoken on as much. All right, but what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the analytics. Again, the analytics will just kind of break down and put all of these, we saw the video on it, but let's put it into context with the stats. All right, so here we have the stats. The stats right here are going to show a lot. What we have right here are going to be the per 36-minute stats. It's one of the most commonly used stats at the NBA level to really determine a player's efficiency on the court. All right, and so the first thing that I wanted to show you guys right here, as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest detriments to LaMelo Ball's game is the rate at which he turns the ball over. He turns the ball over 3.5 times per 36 minutes. All right. And when we talk about guys on the team that play meaningful minutes, obviously Jalen McDaniels, who's second on the team, he doesn't play meaningful minutes. But next up, you have Miles Bridges, who's LaMelo Ball's running mate off the bench. He's turning the ball over 2.7 times per 36 minutes. But then you have P.J. Washington, Gordon Hayward, Caleb Martin, Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, surprisingly, is only turning the ball over 1.6 times per 36 minutes. So, for all of the hate talk and the Devontae Graham is struggling talk, he's doing a good job of valuing every possession. All right, he's missing shots right now. His shot is not falling, but you cannot let that discourage you all right, when you're on the offensive side of the ball and lure you into making multiple bad decisions. All right, and as a point guard, he's doing a good job of valuing every possession, even though he's missing shots. So LaMelo Ball is struggling, y'all. He's struggling with decision making. When you turn the ball over at this clip with his usage rate, it's usually because you're struggling with your decision making, and it's not because he's not a great player. It's because he doesn't have the experience at the NBA level to understand that he has to get better at probing the defense, not picking up his dribble, not going up for his shots too early, all right, not staring guys down then making the pass, all right, not always going for the home run pass. All right, you don't have to always do it, especially in the half court. And you got to trust your teammates more, because some of these guys can actually play. You don't have to set them up with home run dimes just for them to score the ball. Some of these guys can put the ball on the floor and go score it if you just simply give them a good pass. All right, we're going to go check out a few other stats as well. Obviously, we got some stats right here. Obviously, I wanted you guys to see his usage. All right, LaMelo Ball's usage. All right. Vernon Carey's not playing meaningful minutes, so obviously we're just going to go to the next two guys that are actually playing meaningful minutes. Gordon Hayward leads the team in usage at 26.2%. Obviously so. He's been their best player by far this year, and it's not even close. But next on the team, it's LaMelo Ball with a 24.1% usage rate. All right. Can we please stop saying that James Borrego is not using LaMelo Ball properly? I don't know how much better you can use him. You're putting him in open sets. When I say open sets, you're not confining him to any particular type of play. He's given the freedom to make decisions. He's just not making very good decisions, and he's creating costly turnovers. All right. And for let's stop glossing over turnovers as if this is not a big deal, because it is. Because usually when you look to see the winner and loser of any particular game, you can usually see that the team that won had fewer turnovers than the team that lost. Turnovers are a big deal. Not turning the ball over means a lot, because every time you don't turn the ball over, it's another opportunity you have to either draw fouls or score the ball. All right? The more opportunities you have to score the ball, the more points you have on the board. The Charlotte Hornets cannot allow a player like LaMelo to be on the court 30, 35 minutes a game, and he's turning the ball over at an astronomically high rate. All right, that's with his usage, he's turning the ball over far too much. All right, but again, we're going to go to some other stats. All right, we're going to look at his effective shooting percentage. And again, if you guys don't know what effective shooting percentage is and why I'm going to it, the effective field goal percentage is actually better than just your standard field goal percentage, because your effective field goal percentage, it says it adjusts for the fact that 3-point field goals are worth more than 2-point field goals. So it actually gives you more credit for making those threes. But we know this year, LaMelo Ball has struggled making the 3-point shot. He's shooting it at 33%, which is poor. All right, which is around the same rate. Actually, Lonzo Ball shoots the three better than that. But when we look at his effective field goal percentage on this team, LaMelo Ball is 11th in effective field goal percentage. All right. He's shooting 2-pointers. His field goal percentage overall is 40%. All right, he's shooting 33% from the 3-point line, and he's shooting 70% from the free throw line. All numbers that he needs to increase as time goes by. All right, we're going to move on to the next metric as well. All right, and this is just a play-by-play stat, but remember what I told y'all. He turns the ball over off making bad decisions. So when we talk about who leads this team in live ball turnovers, all right, when we look at the play-by-play, all right, these are turnovers by bad passes. Turnovers by bad passes. The lost ball turnovers are fine. If you just dribble and you dribble it off your foot and you lose it out of your bounds, that's fine. Your team has opportunity to go back up, get the defensive set, and that happens sometimes. That's unavoidable. But when you lead the team by a long shot, this is not even close. When you lead the team by a long shot in bad passes that led to turnovers, LaMelo Ball has 39 turnovers in 16 games. LaMelo Ball has 39 turnovers in 16 games, and 30 of those turnovers are from bad passes. What did I say before? A lot of his bad passes were because he has bad habits. And the worst habit that he has is he picks his dribble up too much and too soon. And it puts him in compromising situations because he either has to make bad passes or he has to take bad shots. And then one of those clips I showed you guys, he shot the floater from the free throw line. In reality, that's a bad shot because it's not a shot that he's going to hit at a high percentage. Teams will live with that. All right. But as it stands right now, he's not doing enough positive on the court, especially now that teams kind of has his number. Teams have more footage on him. Teams can scout him out better. All right. And it doesn't take anything when you're going up against a good defender on any given night. Most of the good defenders in the league don't even have time in the NBA season to go watch film. So what does the scouting director do? He walks around to each player and says, here's the scouting report on all of the guys that are playing tonight. And when they read that scouting report on LaMelo Ball and they see his tendencies, when they see if you make him pick his dribble up early, he's prone to turn the ball over. We're going to see LaMelo Ball unless he does something drastic to change his game. We're just going to see his game get worse. You guys can continue to blame James Borrego, but some of the stuff that LaMelo Ball's doing on the court has nothing to do with James Borrego. It has everything to do with bad habits and bad tendencies that he's picked up playing against lesser competition. And we see a lot of rookies this year struggling with that adjustment. James Wiseman is still struggling with the strength of the NBA. A lot of the moves that he was able to get off in those few college games against those JUCO teams, he looked great. In high school, he looked great. In the NBA, he doesn't look so great. All right. We see the decision making with Anthony Edwards. He's struggling to make high-level decisions. Is he a great athlete? Yes. Is he going to have a great dunk here or there? Yes. But look at his last 5 games. He's been struggling mightily. All right, when we look at Killian Hayes looks, even though he's been starting in Detroit, he hasn't had enough time to adjust to the learning curve in the NBA. He doesn't even look like an NBA player when he's been on the court this year. And we're talking about these are the top picks of the draft. All right. I mean, to be honest, Tyrese Halliburton has been the most consistent, and he's even hit a wall himself. Patrick Williams has had some consistency, but he's even hit a wall and is struggling to get on the court at times. All of the rookies are dealing with the learning curve differently. All right, teams are handling each player differently, but we all see their struggles. All right, so for all you guys out there that want to say, oh, Halliburton's playing more minutes, why can't LaMelo? It doesn't work like in the NBA. Every team is different. All right, don't compare another player's situation to LaMelo Ball's. LaMelo Ball is in a more unique situation. All right, he has different team and different responsibilities, and he's a different type of player. All right, for Wiseman at the post position, I highly recommend that playing him, he can learn more. But at the guard position, sometimes sitting next to the coach, all right, and listening to advice and seeing the game evolve and develop from the sideline, that can be your best teacher. All right, and so the last and final aspect of this particular situation with LaMelo Ball that I wanted to kind of break down is going to be the team aspect. And again, we talked about it. What did I talk about at the beginning of this video? LaMelo Ball has a strong following of what? His social media following. We're not talking about basketball geniuses or coaches or players. We're talking about just everyday, common, young fans who either like him as a person. You got females who think he's cute and they like his pictures. I mean, you have men who love the family. They like how LeVar Ball raised his sons, and he's teaching his sons about independence and building your own brand and marketing. Those are some of the things I appreciate as well. But when we're talking about pure basketball, all right, the one thing that we cannot negate out of this is the business of basketball, the business side of this. And the business side of basketball tells me that the money dictates who plays 9 times out of 10 in most situations. Guys that are either going to get paid either that next year, guys who are up for contract, guys who are under contract. If you are either a year away from getting a big contract, or if you're under contract, you're going to see a floor a lot. If you're a rookie and you're up for that rookie extension, you're probably going to see the floor a lot. All right, so the team can really evaluate you for the future. And when we talk about the money aspect of it, like I've said time and time again, the roster that we see as constructed in Charlotte is not the team that's going to be there over the next 5 years as LaMelo takes over the reins at the point guard position. What this team needs to do now is they need to really evaluate what type of players complement LaMelo Ball best. What types of players can we put on the bench? What type of backup point guard do we need? What type of centers do we need? What type of centers work best with LaMelo? We know that Bismack Biyombo is not a long-term solution nor a championship solution. Cody Zeller is not a long-term solution nor a championship solution. But without these teams having seen LaMelo in Summer League, they didn't see him in a real preseason. They didn't see him in any real training camp. They are still learning 16 games into the NBA season. They are still figuring out what type of players work well with what LaMelo does. All right. They may think that a more sound point guard could work better alongside a LaMelo Ball. If you have a more disciplined point guard like a Rondo on the court alongside LaMelo, could that benefit him? Do we think he can overcome some of his offensive IQ deficiencies and be that guy who's going to maintain the ball the majority of the possession and make the best decisions without turning the ball over at a high level? Can he be that guy? But they have a lot of decisions to make. From the highlights, it looks as if Miles Bridges is one of those guys they're going to keep around. Gordon Hayward obviously is one of those guys they're going to keep around. All right, but are they going to keep the Martin twins? Are they going to look to develop? Are they going to look to develop Vernon Carey, a more dynamic big? What are they going to do with a Malik Monk, who's kind of, because of his off the court shenanigans, has kind of put himself out of the rotation? The money and the business side of this needs to be executed first before LaMelo Ball takes over the starting reins for this team. And because of how irregular this season is, everyone's operating behind schedule, including the front office. So they're having to evaluate and make these decisions on the fly. All right. The one thing that I appreciate, the one thing that this team has done a great job of, is their best and most tradable asset. They've done a great job of featuring this guy and making him happy. Obviously, he's making a lot of money, but to trade this guy, you have to show his value to other teams. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get over to the drawing board again, just so we can break down the money side of this and see what the money implications say with regards to who starts and who sits. All right, so we have it right here. We got the Charlotte Hornets salary cap situation, man. All right, this is one of the few teams in the NBA that's actually under the salary cap. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the realistic probabilities of this team. All right, we're going to go player by player. Obviously, they just signed Gordon Hayward to this massive contract, making $28 million a year. He's guaranteed another $91 million in the future. He's not tradable right now. All right, they had to overpay to get this guy on the team. And when they overpaid to him, they're essentially committing to him for the next couple of years. Hopefully it works out. But they've made a long-term commitment to Gordon Hayward. He's not getting traded. It makes no sense to trade him because he's the only reason that you've even been alive in a lot of these games. We got Terry Rozier making $18.9 million. He's only owed $17 million in future cash. Now, this is your most tradable asset, but he's also been your second best player this year on the court. They've done a good job, of keeping him happy and positive. We've seen how a disgruntled Terry Rozier can play. We saw that in Boston. All right, that's what you don't want, especially going into the trade deadline, or as a trade, that time frame when teams really look to trade and move guys. You want him to be happy, and not only is Terry Rozier happy, they have him playing great basketball right now. If anybody gets traded on this team before the trade deadline, it's going to be Terry Rozier, primarily because of his dead cap salary number. Terry Rozier is making $18.9 million. This means if you trade him, you can get a haul of players back. You can get a single player back who's maybe under contract long term that may maybe fit in a little bit better with LaMelo Ball, but doesn't play the same position. All right. But you have options when you trade him. All right. Obviously, we hear this chatter about LaMelo Ball requesting a trade. Okay, come on, y'all. Let's not be idiotic with some of the things that we say. LaMelo Ball is not requesting a trade, nor can he apply pressure to the team to coerce a trade. All right. He's under contract. He's going to play for the Hornets for the next 5 years, 6, 7 years or so. For the report that came out that said, when his rookie deal is up, he's going to leave in free agency. Well, that's kind of asinine and idiotic as well. He's going to be a restricted free agent when his contract is up. It's going to be up to the team whether he stays or goes. He does not dictate that. Even once his rookie deal is up, the team dictates it. All right. It's one of the new rules that the NBA implemented so that these small market teams like the Charlotte Hornets don't lose their big time young players too soon. You at least can get 7 years out of these guys before they become unrestricted free agents. So again, let's hold the presses on the nonsensical talk. Let's stop throwing things out there, especially only after 16 games of an NBA season that's been unlike any other, where these guys, where front offices and players are extremely unprepared right now. Another player that they could potentially move, not sure what they can get back for him, but is Malik Monk. It's him and his $5 million with Charlotte being under the cap. Maybe they can trade Malik Monk and move him and bring on a player who's making a little bit more money, but also fits in better with this team and can be a rotational guy. As it stands right now, Malik Monk is not a rotational guy. PJ Washington still under his rookie deal. He's not going anywhere, y'all. Let's stop acting as if guys like PJ Washington has been one of the brightest spots for this team this year. He's not going anywhere. Miles Bridges, he's untradeable until he signs an extension. Really, with all of these rookies, if you're a first round pick, you're essentially probably going to be untradeable unless something drastic comes about. Now, we saw that situation where LA gave up a haul of rookies and a haul of players to bring in Anthony Davis. I don't see any massive blockbuster deals like that happening. Generally in the NBA, rookies under their rookie deals don't get traded unless they're getting traded in a sign and trade while they're signing their extension or after they sign their extension. It just doesn't make sense. When you're talking about Devontae Graham, y'all, Devontae Graham is only making $1.6 million. He's far outplayed the value of his contract. But he's on the last year of his deal. He's only making $1.6 million. Now, can Devontae Graham get traded in a sign and trade next year? That's probably the more realistic situation, because now you can lock him in for the future. So whoever gets him has him for multiple years, and you have more cap to play with regards to bringing guys in and making salaries match. But as it stands right now, Devontae Graham only making $1.6 million. He's untradeable. The Charlotte Hornets would be stupid to trade him right now and absolutely get nothing back for him. All right. If you're going to move guys, get something back for him. LaMelo Ball by himself cannot win an NBA championship. And for all of the people out here putting out this narrative that he can, again, you're just going to be left more disgruntled and more disgruntled if the Charlotte Hornets take that type of route. And obviously, we got the rest of the guys on this bench. We got a lot of mid-level exception guys in both the Martin twins, Jalen McDaniels, obviously Vernon Carey's a rookie. Got Nick Richards, Grant Riller on a two-way contract. So, the reason why Terry Rozier is playing heavy minutes, he's probably going to get traded and moved at the trade deadline if they can get a reasonable deal for it. All right? Because I know a lot of people are going to run and say, oh, well, you said he was going to get traded. No, I'm saying if they make a trade, their most tradable asset is Terry Rozier. And it only makes sense to move this guy because you have LaMelo Ball in waiting, looking to be primed to take over that starting role in the starting lineup. Devontae Graham plays more like a two guard, so I think he would benefit off LaMelo moving to the point. But at the end of the day, none of that's going to matter if LaMelo doesn't take accountability for these turnovers that he's making, because he has a lot of fans that aren't doing it for him, or nor will they hold his foot to the fire for these turnovers. A lot of fans will like to tap him on the wrist and say, "Oh, it's okay, you're a rookie." No, it's never okay to have 5 turnovers in a game. It's never okay to have 4 turnovers in a game. All right, look at the best players on this team, and they do not turn the ball over a lot, because the best players in the NBA understand you have to value each possession, especially when you struggle to score the ball. So this is the reality of the situation, y'all. I've broken it down. I've broken down the video. I've broken down the stats. I've broken down the business side of this particular matter. All right. These are all of the things right here. This is the reality of LaMelo Ball's basketball situation. Will he be a starter for the Charlotte Hornets? Yes. But it's unrealistic to say, Borrega, start LaMelo right now. That's the best thing for this team. All right. And my last point of evidence, and I want to show you guys just a short clip. And I know I've been a long-winded, but again, I really had to dive into my bag because I feel like I have to teach these LaMelo Ball fans, because I just don't think they're very knowledgeable. I think they know how to speak basketball, but I don't think they understand the ins and outs of basketball at the NBA level. All right. And they look down on people like me who are willing to be real with them and speak about it. And again, I don't shy away from any conversation. Anybody who wants to talk about this particular topic, I welcome them to my platform to talk about it. But when you come to my platform to talk about it, you cannot come with fan talk. You have to come with some realism. All right. You have to come with you cannot be one of those Instagram followers who just want to see the individual succeed and you don't care anything about the overall success for the team in and of itself. But the one thing I want to show you, and again, it goes to speaking on the business of basketball. It was a situation with Earl Watson and the Phoenix Suns. And Earl Watson, he spoke on a situation with the Suns where the Suns had Brandon Knight and Eric Bledsoe under huge contracts. All right. This was supposed to be the starting backcourt for this team, but you got Devin Booker in waiting. And he talks about his situation when he kind of went against the grain. All right. When he went against the grain and started a guy without the blessing of the front office, when he felt like he knew what was better for the team than the front office did. Again, you want your front office and your coach are always going to be on the same page. All right. And when we're talking about LaMelo Ball not starting, that's a decision that's coming from above James Borrego. That's coming from Michael Jordan in the front office, because they're looking to do other things. And this is an indicator that tells me they're probably going to trade Terry Rozier at the deadline, because they have not decided to start Terry Rozier yet. All right. But I'm going to play a clip for you. And again, I'm going to give you a very realistic situation of what happened with Earl Watson when he chose to go away from what the team wanted done. All right. Because they were paying 2 guys big money to start, and he chose to go his own way and start someone else. Let's go ahead and get to that clip right here.
Start with Devin Booker. Had an opportunity to bring him along slowly, because they had just paid Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight $140 million combined to start in the backcourt. So by me starting Devin Booker was like, whoa, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. I'm not paying him $70 million, Brandon Knight $70 million come off the bench. But I just saw in the backcourt when you have Brandon Knight and Eric Bledsoe, you had two pattern players. The game was changing, and I knew the game was changing because from my AAU teams, I seen what was coming. That's not going to be sustainable. In the playoffs, you can't have a pattern player with the ball.
Yep.
You're not going to win.
Yep.
So I looked at Devin, and I was already, before I became an interim, I was already working him out, so I knew what he was capable of doing. I was his development coach. So I was like, yo, we're going to switch it. We're going to start him, and that's going to be the role. And people thought I was crazy. Because at Kentucky, he played as a pattern player, catch and shoot. Mm-hmm. He wasn't isolated. He came off the bench. And here I am saying as a young coach who just came from the G League, lost in the Western Conference Finals, like, what the hell are you telling us? Like, you know what I mean? But I'm saying, I've been teammates with these players my whole life, similar. Mm-hmm. And the first week with Book, I put him in limited patterns, a lot of creativity. And I set them in front of the whole team, in front of the whole room. I learned from UB Brown. I gave everyone their role, tell them how many shots they're gonna shoot, how many minutes they're gonna play, and oh, you ain't gonna play. Mm-hmm. But if he fucks up, you're gonna take his spot. He has 5 games not to fuck up or secure his spot. Mm-hmm. Just be ready. You might not like it, but you respect it instead of sitting at the bench wondering, like, you know what I mean? And I looked at Book and I was like, yeah, you're gonna shoot 16 to 21, 22 times a game. And everybody like, I mean, Book is like, what, 18 at the time? And Markieff Morris, mm-hmm. We're gonna play out of you. I know you haven't had a successful time here. It's been, you wanna get out, you wanna get traded. We got 2 weeks to the trade deadline. You're gonna be our number 1 option. Mid-post, pick and pops, pin downs, isolations, dribble handoffs. You're gonna receive in turn because he's agile with the ball. He reminds me of Paul Millsap. Yep. So I started mimicking my time with Paul Millsap, right? And hopefully we get you traded in 2 weeks. What coach has that conversation? Yeah. I want you here, but I'm also a pro and I've been here. It ain't about me, it's about you. Let's kill all the elephant in the locker room. Anyone that has a problem with Markieff getting 16 to 20 shots a game, 20 plus a game, and Book, raise your hand. Oh, you don't? Cool. PJ Tucker, you're gonna be our defender, our leader, corner threes. Every corner 3 you get, if you don't shoot, I'm subbing you out. Mm-hmm. Right? Let's hoop.
And there you have it right there. Earl Watson explaining how he made the decision. He went against the grain. The front office wanted their 2 high dollar players to start. And again, there are a number of reasons why you want these guys to start. And, obviously is, I don't like the direction that teams like the Bulls are going, or the Spurs, where you have a mix of older players and younger players, and you're not making the decision to develop guys or try to win with your older guys. I think you should be doing one or the other. You cannot do both. The Hornets are doing a good job. They have a young core that they're trying to develop. Obviously, you have some older guys in there that are probably going to be on their way out once the trade time frame comes about. But when we talk about that situation with Earl Watson, where he spoke about how he started Devin Booker, although the front office wanted him to start guys like Eric Bledsoe, all right, and Brandon Knight. The Suns ended up firing Earl Watson after 3 games to start that season. And the reason why is because he immediately started to lose the locker room. And he started to lose the locker room because it started with one of your high-value, high-dollar players. He sent out a tweet. Everybody remembers when Eric Bledsoe was in Phoenix, and he tweeted, "I don't want to be here." All right. Now, all of this money that the Phoenix Suns, you've invested in Eric Bledsoe, because you've decided to bench, because you've decided to go against the grain and bench a guy like Eric Bledsoe, and now the star that you paid doesn't want to be there, and now you have to seek out trades for this guy. It puts the franchise in a compromising situation. This is why it benefits the Hornets to keep Terry Rozier happy, even though they know that they're going to have to pull the trigger on a trade for him. All right? Because what happens is with Eric Bledsoe is when other teams know that you have to trade a guy, you've essentially devalued the trade. All right? Now teams know that they can lowball you because that player doesn't want to be there. That player doesn't want to be there. They don't have to give up as much to get him. And now you don't get as much back in return, even after putting so much money and time into your investment. So it does the Hornets good to try to do right by Terry Rozier, try to keep him happy. And once you move him, maximize his value, get the most you can in return for him, and hope that you're getting pieces back that fit well around your core, which is going to be Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball. But when we look at how the Phoenix Suns handled that situation, all right, Brandon Knight, that didn't work out well. Eric Bledsoe, that didn't work out well. That whole situation with the Phoenix Suns, when you're talking about Marquise Chris being there, none of that worked out well with any of those young guys. It created locker room turmoil. It created locker room dysfunction. All right. And then you had a broken locker room on top of the fact you had a young team that you're trying to develop. So you have a broken roster, you have a broken locker room, and you have a number of product problems all over the place. The Phoenix Suns are just now recovering from that fiasco. You know, after firing Jay Triano, you know, after firing a number of coaches, including Earl Watson, they now have Monty Williams. He looks like he's going to be the long-term coach of the future. All right, you have more stability here now, and you now recuperated from that fiasco of a situation that was created. And it all started when you had a head coach who went against the grain. All right, you started Devin Booker, which again, the concept of starting Devin Booker was a beautiful concept. It absolutely worked out great. We all know how great Devin Booker is. But the chain effect of starting a Devin Booker, it started a chain effect of negative events that, again, it took the Phoenix Suns years to recover from. I appreciate, and I'll put this on record, I honestly appreciate how the Hornets are handling LaMelo Ball's situation. He's a young player with a lot to learn. If you're honest about his game, he has a lot of bad tendencies that he needs to clean up, and those tendencies need to come out of watching film and watching the game from the sideline. And that's the unfortunate reality of his situation that I know LaMelo Ball fans don't want to hear. Because again, LaMelo Ball doesn't have your typical basketball fans. LaMelo Ball doesn't have your typical Charlotte Hornet fan. LaMelo Ball has a following, a social media following, who follow the Ball family and the Ball movement and not basketball itself. So when the reality of NBA basketball is put into the face of LaMelo Ball and he now has to go through some of those hoops and ladders to get to where he needs to be, there's going to be a lot of overreaction. There's going to be a lot of emotional rants. There's going to be a lot of illogical takes on what's best for the team. But again, and I'll tell you guys, my favorite team is the Portland Trail Blazers. There's a lot that I could sit back and blame on Terry Stotts with regards to scheme and defense. But at the end of the day, I can always say, you know what, my favorite player, Damian Lillard, I can criticize him and say that he's one of the worst defenders in the league. It's one of the problems that we have on this team. You have to find a way to rectify it. I've yet to hear the LaMelo Ball fan base say, you know what? Why is Borrego not starting him? Are we looking at this from a basketball standpoint, or are we looking at it from an emotional standpoint because we're such big fans of the Ball family? All right. No, LaMelo Ball's not getting blackballed. Lonzo Ball's not getting blackballed. LiAngelo Ball is not getting blackballed. When you get to the highest and most upper echelon of basketball, the pinnacle of basketball, getting to the NBA, it's a little bit different. And you have to respect the game. And the things that LaMelo's doing on the court right now, some of the tactics and strategies he's trying to employ are laughable, especially in tough situations, and especially when more and more teams get the scouting report on LaMelo Ball. Make sure you guys let me know what you think about this video. I know it was longer than most of my podcast videos, but again, I don't speak on just one player or one topic a lot. I just felt like this was something that needed to be addressed, something that needed to be said, because no one else is saying it. No one else wants to be honest about this particular situation. And at the end of the day, I have to sit back and if I'm evaluating this franchise and how they're handling it, I got to give them an A+ on how they're handling it, because they're not capitulating to what the LaMelo Ball fan base wants to see. The LaMelo Ball fan base wants to see him play 38 minutes a game, do all of this. I get to get all these highlights, and he's a great player, and they want to give him all the praise while diminishing and talking crazy about everyone else on the team, as opposed to looking at it, with an honest take, giving everybody a fair assessment, including LaMelo Ball. But again, let me guys know whether you're in the live chat, whether you're in the live panel, or whether you have to comment on this video. Let me know what you think about this video. And I know I'm going to have a lot of LaMelo Ball fans watch this video. And again, it might hurt to hear this take. It might hurt to hear someone say something negative about him. But at the end of the day, this is coming from somebody who appreciates the Ball family. Before the NBA draft happened, I took a lot of heat for saying that LaMelo Ball was the best player in this draft class. I've been saying it for the last year and a half. When I first started this channel, I went through the fire. People cussed me out. People like Ticket TV. I will go on that channel and say, you guys are disrespecting the Ball family. You guys are disrespecting LaMelo's game. He has a lot of I can talk about the positives of his game all day. But as it stands right now, I cannot be biased. I cannot let my fandom for a player supersede my, what's actually happening in front of my eyes. So again, FYF Sports, man, is forget your feelings. Don't get emotionally connected or tied to a player on the court. Appreciate what they do off the court, because I appreciate what LaMelo Ball and his family does off the court more than I do what he does on the court. On the court, it's a game. Off the court is real life. And I can separate the two. And what I've done is I've separated the two. So again, signing the Puma deal, starting his own clothing line, doing all of these other things, applaud that. LeVar Ball, great job. Same thing with LiAngelo and all of his business ventures, buying homes, things of that nature, great job. Lonzo Ball, all of his business ventures, taking care of his family, doing it the right way off the court. Applaud them brothers, man, because they doing it great off the court. But when they on the court, I have to be honest about it. And I have to also honestly assess the Charlotte Hornets and what they need to do as an organization to make this team better. It's not their job just to develop LaMelo Ball and then it's over with. They have to focus on developing everyone and putting the best possible team out there possible. So at the end of the day, they can say, this team can win an NBA championship. And that's the goal right there. Hey, but it's FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video. If you haven't done so already, we are grinding to 20K subscribers, man. Hopefully we can get there soon. Told you, when we get close to 20K, we're just going to go live. When we get to about 19,900 subscribers, we're just going to go live and we're going to rock out live until we get to 20K subscribers. So we're going to have our 20K subscribers up. That same day, we're also going to be doing our $1,000 Cash App giveaway drawing. All right, so everybody, again, if you stuck around and watched this video all the way to the end, this is probably my longest podcast video ever. So if you stuck around and watch this video to the end, I need you to type in the comments, I'm subscribed. All right. Hashtag FYF Sports. Right. Because again, this video is all about the mantra of this channel. Forget your feelings. Forget your feelings. All right, and I respect the people more. I respect people more who actually aren't scared to come onto this platform when we go live and debate the topics that we talk about in the videos. All right, you know, the day, like I said in another video, the days of me running around trying to debate people on their own channels and platforms, when I hear the nonsensical sports talks, that's really over with. I don't want to really give too many people gems and jewels like that, because I'm giving you too much information for free. You got to come over to FYF Sports and you got to come onto the hot seat. All right, just like we did with Lord Ninja. When Lord Ninja got onto the hot seat, all right, and he really had to talk basketball, you know, with 600-700 people watching in the live stream, we saw how he broke down and failed epically. All right, I need some of y'all. If you're a LaMelo Ball fan and you think you got some good counters to what I spoke on today, come on to one of our live streams. Our live stream tonight is probably going to be about the LaMelo Ball and this podcast right here. Come on to the live stream. Again, we'll give you the floor. We'll give you your opportunity to speak your piece, but not come with an emotional plea. Come with facts. Come with your stats. All right, and come with something tangible. All right, come with something that makes sense with every aspect of the game incorporated into it. Do not come with a very lazy argument, or you'll find yourself getting ethered, and you'll find yourself looking like Lord Ninja, you know, in the next snippet video, you know, and we gotta highlight it if you get ethered. Everybody who gets ethered on this channel, it gets highlighted. All right, but it's all basketball, it's all love, it's just basketball debates. All right, so don't take it personal, because at the end of the day, just like I separate basketball and real life with the Ball family, hopefully you guys, even if you get ethered on a basketball debate, you can separate that from real life, and it's all love when the debate is over with. Hey, but it's FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast episode. We'll be back live tonight, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. But it's FYF Sports.
Think you tough, knowing you ain't about that life. Okay, now we call your bluff. It's time that you pay the price. Oh, you scared, huh? Police about to read them rights. I don't wanna go to jail, man. Might not get no bail, man. Guess you think you tough until them rollers pull them cuffs. Okay, now we call your bluff. You just be talking all that stuff. Oh, you a big dog, huh? Cut it out, boy, not even close. I don't wanna go to jail, man. I'm broke, can't get no bail, man. Bro, you funny, you a trip. Talking nonsense out your lips. Neighbors, they complaining. Tell you calm it down a bit. Now you Mr. Tough.